I'm the greatest, I'm amazing. There's only a certain amount of that you can do before finally you need to actually go out and do it. So in my case, for example, if I just sat at home all the time and said, you're a great speaker, you're an amazing presenter, but I never actually took the stage, that would be pointless. So you have to actually get out there to do whatever it is that you're trying to do. In this case, speaking up. Again, the self-talk is great, the mantra is great, the confidence is great, the repetition is great. You have to actually get out there and do this thing. One of the most effective ways that you can start to speak up and to be accountable for this is to be transparent with your goals. Tell your peers about this, tell your manager about this, tell them what it is that you're trying to work on. So you might want to have a conversation with your manager and say, hey, you know what? I don't really speak up in a lot of meetings. Going forward, I'm really going to try hard to speak up and to share my perspective and to share my ideas in future meetings and conference calls. If you tell that to your manager and if you tell that to your peers and coworkers, guess what's going to happen? At that next conference call or that next meeting, a lot of the people are going to turn to you and say, hey, you said you were going to speak up. Let's hear what you got to say, right? So you help yourself be accountable by telling other people what your goals are. So be transparent with it. You don't need to hide it or be scared about what your goals are for speaking up or being accountable. You can let your peers and your coworkers know, and again, they will help make sure that you can actually practice this thing and just do it. The American Society of Training and Development found that you have a 65% higher chance of completing a goal if you are accountable to somebody for completing that goal. Because it's one thing for us to keep the goals in our own head, but it's another thing to tell other people what your goals are and to have other people keep you accountable. Accountability also plays a very specific role for a lot of employees who are either virtual, who are gig workers, or who work in a flexible work arrangement. And the reason why this is the case is because if you're a virtual employee, if you are on some sort of a flexible work arrangement, chances are you work from home, you work from a coffee shop, you work from wherever. And you don't have a manager that's constantly standing over your shoulder asking you, hey, how's it going? What are you working on? What are you doing? You don't have a manager that's constantly monitoring how many hours you spend working. Many years ago, I did telemarketing, believe it or not. And there was actually a manager who would sit in the middle of the floor, and there was a circle created around that manager, and in each part of the circle there was somebody sitting at their desk with a phone. I was one of those people, and you were supposed to constantly be on the phone, and if you weren't, the manager would immediately say, hey, Jacob, why aren't you on the phone? Pick up the phone, get dialing. I actually made so many calls that my ears would be hurting. And if you are in a flexible work arrangement, you don't have that, right? You don't have somebody that's constantly staring over your shoulder. And the reason why this is crucial is because flexible work is something that you can take advantage of, but it also means that you need to be that much more accountable over the work that you create, the performance that you deliver, how you communicate with your team, how you communicate with your manager, with your coworkers. It is that much more pressure on you. So flexible work is clearly a benefit for you to take advantage of, but it's also something that requires you to be more accountable over the work that you are doing. You can see why accountability and speaking up are both very much related and go hand in hand. Be that person that speaks up in that meeting. Have the conversation that you want to have. Whatever it is, make those goals clear, make those goals transparent, and other people will start to hold you accountable for them. Athena and I hope you enjoyed that. If you want more content like that, check out futureofworkpodcast.com. And do me a favor, please review the podcast on Apple Podcasts or whatever your preferred channel is. Thank you very much.